Yo, what is good, everyone? Happy Monday. Hope y'all had a great weekend. Today I'm going to be breaking down the Nhl Dfs slate for November 14th. And we got ourselves just a 3-game slate here to kick off the week, where I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite line stacks, some of my favorite individual plays, and some of my favorite value plays. And then we'll wrap up the video talking a little prize picks. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals. And we got all 3 of these games coming in with an implied total of 6 goals. Followed up by the Vegas odds here, where you can see the Hurricanes, Avalanche, and Flames are all favored to win here tonight. With that being said, let's dive into a couple of line stacks that I like here for tonight, starting with that first line for the Carolina Hurricanes. We got Aho centering Svechnikov and Necas. Now, if you go look online, at least as of this morning when I record, you're going to notice that they have Steven Nason on the right wing with Aho and Svechnikov. They did start that way last game against the Colorado Avalanche, but eventually ended up putting these 3 together, and I suspect we'll see that here again tonight in a great matchup against the Chicago Blackhawks. There's so much upside here with these 3 forwards, albeit they will be popular tonight as well. You're going to see these 3 log big minutes together 5-on-5, and all 3 play up on that #1 power play, and that penalty kill for the Chicago Blackhawks has really struggled this year, just hitting at a 74.6% rate. That's the 7th worst in the NHL. Now, we need to keep an eye on the lines here like we do every night, but especially with the Carolina Hurricanes. Rob Brendamore, their head coach, is not afraid to shuffle lines. So again, as I record here this morning, this is what I think the first line will look like. But let's make sure we check in on these lines before puck drop, and we should be doing that every night just to ensure nothing has changed. And then another line stack I like here tonight is that first line for the St. Louis Blues. We got Thomas centering Buchnevich and Tarasenko. Now, the Blues as a whole have really struggled so far this year, but I still like the upside that we get out of these 3 forwards, especially considering how affordable they are. You know, Thomas and Buchnevich are very, very cheap here in the mid-4K range, in the mid-3K range. Tarasenko a little more expensive there at $6,600, but that's usually a guy who floats in the 7K range, so we're getting him at a discount as well. Now, they haven't put up points on a super consistent basis this year, but if we look back to last year, this was a line that was very productive, and obviously I don't want to be going off of last year's statistics, but again, I just truly believe in the upside that these 3 offer. We're going to see Tarasenko play up on that #1 power play, Thomas and Buchnevich play down on the 2nd, and an area the Avalanche have struggled with this year is on the penalty kill, just hitting at a 72.9% rate. That's the 5th worst in the NHL. Now, folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. I'm going to have hockey content coming out for you guys all year long. Alright, now diving into these individual plays here, these are actually more of pairings how I've structured this here today. We're going to talk about Mack and Rantanen together, Toffoli and Lindholm, and then Arvidsson and Trevor Moore. We'll start at the top here though with Mack and Rantanen. Obviously these 2 are going to be popular here and might even be the 2 most popular plays on this 3-game slate. If you want to fade it, that is certainly one way to get contrarian. I'm still going to play them, though. There's just too much upside here, especially in a matchup like this against the St. Louis Blues, who I just mentioned have really struggled so far this year. Goaltending has not been great, and these guys are just so productive. They lead the team here with 23 points through 13 games, 23 points each, that is, and they both lead the team in expected goals, play big minutes together 5-on-5, and both play up on that #1 power play. So yeah, if you're going to be rostering these 2 here, just know it's going to come with a lot of ownership, and you're going to have to get contrarian with your lineup elsewhere. Next, we got Tyler Toffoli and Elias Lindholm of the Calgary Flames. Both these guys playing together up on that first line in #1 power play. Very affordable here as well in the 5K range, and have very similar numbers this year too. Both have 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points through 14 games. Not phenomenal numbers by any means, but they're certainly capable of getting on the score sheet. And Calgary's a team that has underperformed so far this year, considering the talent they do have on their roster. But I do believe some positive regression will be coming their way. Now, tonight they have a tough matchup at home against the Los Angeles Kings, who have been very solid defensively this year, especially as of late. But they're also a team that is not afraid to take penalties, tied for second with the most minor penalties in the NHL, and the one area this LA Kings team has struggled with this year is on the penalty kill, just hitting at a 75.4% rate, and you're going to see both Toffoli and Lindholm play up on that number one power play, so that's primarily what I'm targeting here with those two. And then on the other side of that game, I like that first line of Philip Deneau, Victor Arvidsson, and Trevor Moore. You could certainly roll them out as a line stack, especially considering all three of those guys play up on the second power play. Now, I have no problem with that first line either. I've talked about them quite a bit this year. Kopitar, Kempe, and Velarde playing pretty well together, but I like this second line here because it's going to allow us to get a little more contrarian, and they're both very affordable there in the 4K range and have been capable of getting on the score sheet this year. The two have combined for 5 goals, 15 assists, 20 points through 17 games, and they're actually second and fourth on the team in expected goals, so the chances have definitely been there for them. So again, we're getting two guys here who are very affordable, well correlated on that second line in number 2 power play, capable of getting on the score sheet, and projected for lower ownership. Now, moving over here to the defensemen, and I have no issue spending up for defensemen tonight. In fact, I prefer to spend above $4,000 because I'm not really in love with the value plays. One guy I'm absolutely willing to pay up for is Cale Makar of the Colorado Avalanche, and I probably don't need to advocate for him. He's now got 3 goals, 13 assists, 16 points through 13 games, plays about 26 plus minutes per night, plays up on the number 1 power play, not afraid to shoot the puck, not afraid to block shots. He gets it done a number of different ways. The best defenseman in the NHL, in my opinion. And what I like doing here tonight is playing Cale with McKinnon and Rantanen. Now, obviously, it's very expensive to do that, but you have tremendous upside with those three guys who play big minutes and all play up on the number 1 power play. And it's going to force you to get contrarian elsewhere. Let's say we add in Jonathan Quick at the goaltender position, relatively cheap goaltender here tonight at $7,400. That only leaves us with $3,400 per player to fill out the rest of our lineup. So if you put those three together, yeah, there's a lot of upside there. Yes, they're going to be popular, but it's going to have to force you to get contrarian throughout the rest of your lineup, so it's certainly doable. Now, on the other side of that game, I like Justin Falk as well, and what I would do is stack him up with Pavel Buchnevich and Robert Thomas, all three of those guys playing on the number 2 power play. St. Louis does a very good job of splitting up their top 2 power plays, so they're definitely going to see time. And again, that Avalanche PK has not been very good this year, just hitting around a 73% rate, 5th worst in the NHL. And Justin Falk has been good this year, 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points through 13 games, and I love the way he's shooting the puck, averaging around 3.5, 4 shots on net per game. A little more expensive at $6,400. Again, that's why I'm not afraid to pay up for defensemen tonight, but having Buchnevich and Thomas there being really affordable and makes that triple stack a little easier. And that's really the play here with Sean Durzi as well. Stack him up with Victor Arvidsson and Trevor Moore, being that all three of those guys play on the number 2 power play. Very affordable to do that. All three of those guys in the mid to low 4K range. And Durzi has been solid this year, logging solid minutes, playing around 19 minutes per night. Plays on that number 2 power play, obviously, and has 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points through 16 games, essentially averaging a half point per game, but has shown some nice upside in some of these games as well. In fact, he's coming off a game where he had 2 goals and 23 DraftKings points against the Detroit Red Wings. But of course, I got a few value plays that I don't mind, first being Jarred Tinordi there of the Chicago Blackhawks. Really what you're hoping from him is to block 3 shots in this game and maybe have 1 or 2 shots on net, get you 9.9 DraftKings points. He'd be sitting pretty nice there at $2,500. He doesn't get any time on the power play, but he does log big minutes on the penalty kill. So at the bare minimum price of $2,500, not crazy to think the Carolina Hurricanes pour on the shots here tonight against Chicago, and Tinordi blocks 3 of those. And then I got some honorable mentions there as well. I don't mind Torrey Krug of the St. Louis Blues at $4,300. Stack him up with guys on that number 1 power play. Murphy there of the Chicago Blackhawks, similar situation with Tinordi, hoping he blocks 3+ block shots. Tanev there of the Calgary Flames, and Roos there of the Chicago Blackhawks as well. He does get time on that number 2 power play. I just don't foresee Chicago scoring much here tonight. Now, you guys know the deal here on these smaller 3-game slates. I truly believe there's a case to be made to roster any one of these goaltenders. It ultimately comes down to what the rest of your lineup is going to look like. Obviously, if I roll out that first line of Thomas, Buchnevich, and Tarasenko of the St. Louis Louis Blues, I'm not going to play Georgiev in the same lineup. That just doesn't make sense. But I do like Georgiev here at $8,400. Been really solid for the Colorado Avalanche with a 7-1-1 record, a 2.66 goals allowed average, and a .924 save percentage. And he's got 5.4 goals save above expected. That's the 8th best in the NHL. And then a little cheaper goaltender there, Jonathan Quick, kind of name dropped him earlier. In that Avalanche example of McKinnon, Rantanen, and Makar, Quick has won here 4 of his last 5 games with a goals allowed average of 1.60 and a save percentage of .945, so he's really started to heat up here over the past week or two. And as always, going to wrap up the spreadsheet here with 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays. Honestly, not really in love with the sub-4K forward plays here tonight. Some really nice value in the 4 to 5K range, but I still got 3 players there for you. First being Ryan O'Reilly of the St. Louis Blues, playing on that second or technically third line, depends on what you're looking at, but plays up on the number 1 power play. He's played very well against his former team in the Colorado Avalanche in the past with 9 goals, 20 assists, 29 points in 24 games. My one cause for concern with him is it looks like St. Louis has kind of built that second line to be a defensive line, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see them try to shadow that first line for Colorado tonight. I wouldn't necessarily love that, but the numbers don't lie. O'Reilly has played well against the Avs. Now, on the other side of that game, I like Logan O'Connor here playing on that third line in penalty kill. He does not get any time on the power play, but he is logging around 16, 17 minutes per game as of late, where he's had 4 goals, 8 shots on net, and 12 block shots in his past 4 games, where he has played very well. And then Andrew Mangiapane there of the Calgary Flames, playing on that second line in number 2 power play. He is truly a boom-bust type of player. He might only get you 3 DraftKings points here tonight, but he's capable of going for 20+. And he's actually 3rd on this team here in expected goals, so some positive regression should be coming his way as well. And then to wrap up this video here, I want to talk a little prize picks with you guys. Per usual on these smaller slates, the lines are very tight, so I'm going to go through these individually here and find my best picks, and then always let you guys know those picks in a comment below on this video, and I'll be sure to pin that comment as well. And again, I am posting those in my Discord channel too, for those of you who want to join that, link in the description below. And for those of you who have not signed up for Prize Picks yet but want to get in on this action, I got a promo code that you should definitely be taking advantage of. When you're signing up, use my promo code GRIFF. GRIFF, and Prize Picks will give you all the way up to a $100 match deposit. Now again, you don't have to put $100 in. We're not forcing you to do that. Nobody's forcing anyone to do anything. You want to put $50 in, they'll match that $50. You want to put in 20, they'll match that 20. They will match anything up to $100. Again, as long as you're using my promo code GRIFF, GRIFF, upon signing up. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this 3-game slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.